And that causes me now to turn maybe to some of my friends on the left who may be in government now, who were out during my tenure there, and suggest some additional common ground that I think is often missed from that side. People in this debate, people in the government, especially when I was there, serious people, have good motives. And I hope that doesn't surprise you. I was inside the last administration, as Mr. Mondale said, at several different levels. And I hope I don't surprise you by saying this. I did not meet evil people. Okay? I did not meet people who were bent on shredding the Constitution of the United States. I did not meet people who thought the Bill of Rights was something to be trampled. I met some people with bad judgment. I met some people who reached some conclusions I thought were knucklehead conclusions. But I never met anybody who I didn't believe thought that they were acting in the best interest of the American people, who were doing what they thought was the right thing to do to protect our country. Now, I think it's too tempting, and it's tempting because it's easy, to imagine that the people with whom we disagree on anything, but especially on issues like this, are bad. Right? I think that's sort of convenient, and I want to suggest to you that's lazy. As easy as it can be, and sometimes as fun as it is, to separate the world into white hats and black hats, in the world of counterterrorism, I would urge people to resist that easy way out. Because everybody's wearing a hat, but there are not white hats and black hats. There are people with whom you may have fundamental disagreements about what is the best way to protect the American people, but it obscures real discussion to take that easy exit ramp from a hard discussion by saying, well, he's just evil. She just bent on raw expansion of power. I would urge that be resisted, so that just as I urge people from the right to meet critics head on, so that those who question the judgment and the call of those folks meet it head on the merits, and rather than finding the easy way to caricature their integrity and their motives. I long thought this when I was in government, and I still think it, that it would be easier to resist some of those temptations to assign hat colors if you're able to imagine what it is like to wake up every morning with the responsibility to protect the American people. And with that responsibility, bringing a daily briefing about the ways in which terrorists want to kill our people. Horrific briefings, morning after morning after morning, about threats to our interests around the world and our people around the world, and threats here at home to our cities. Threats based on conventional weapons, threats based on unconventional weapons, chem, bio, nuclear. And I say this not, and I would say this when I was in government, not to freak people, but because I think it offers a perspective that a lot of my friends who are now in the Obama administration are feeling very tangibly. I wish the world were not so that the president and his folks greet every morning with this roster of threats and briefings, but I know that they do, because I know the threat didn't change when the administrations changed. The reason I think that exercise is important and can leaven some of our tendency to bumper sticker when we disagree with people in government is for a variety of reasons, including one very practical. I gave a talk to a group in October before the election, and I said, I'm going to shock you, but the people who are in may well be out soon, and the people who are out may soon be in. That will ever be so. However long Barack Obama is president, the people who are in will be out, and the people who are out will be in. We are partners in this, regardless of where we happen to be with respect to the government at any given time. I hope that where people stand does not depend upon where they sit. The folks who are just arriving in our government, at the Justice Department, in the intelligence community, at the White House, may be in charge when the next Jose Padilla arrives at O'Hare Airport. And we'll have to decide what to do. What to do if you can't use the criminal justice system to incapacitate somebody, and I'm duty-bound to protect the American people. What do I do? Those same folks are the recipients not just of those specific threat information, but those general briefings I talk about. And any day now, a career law enforcement or intelligence professional is going to walk into the office of the current Deputy Attorney General or the Attorney General or the head of the CIA or the National Security Advisor and say, if we don't take this difficult step hundreds of people will die. There is a strong likelihood that if we don't do this, and you can fill in your own this, terrible consequences are going to follow. It would be a great thing if that never happened, but that's not the world we live in. And I hope that sense of perspective and resisting the temptation to impute bad motives to those with whom you disagree offers us another piece of common ground. And while I'm at it, let me suggest maybe some other pieces of common ground. In specific areas, surely we can agree that attacks by terrorists bent on some imagined reward in the afterlife are difficult to deter. That the usual tools that we grapple with, and I've been a prosecutor most of my career, the tools of deterrence, where we frighten people into changing behavior, both specifically and generally, are ill-equipped to deal with people who are willing, in fact, eager to die, to do harm to us. Our criminal justice system is a very valuable way to incapacitate even terrorists and to get information from them, but I assure you it will not frighten them into going home. So surely we can agree that such people have to be detected, have to be prevented from carrying out their attacks, and must be incapacitated in some fashion so they can't hurt innocents. Surely we can agree then that we need good intelligence, that we need to collect information that will allow us to find those who would hurt us and to stop them, that we need the ability to sort and to connect pieces of information, the proverbial dots, and we need to do that to find those who can't otherwise be deterred by our usual tools. And surely we can agree that if we capture these people, either abroad or in the United States, that we need to come up with some way to hold them when we can't use our criminal justice system to do that. That we need, at some times, to deal with people we can't prosecute, either because we don't have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt of their intention. Pick a standard. Those of you maybe lawyers in the audience, clear and convincing evidence, by preponderance of the evidence. Whatever the standard, if we don't have beyond a reasonable doubt proof, what do we do? Or maybe you have beyond a reasonable doubt proof, but you can't use it because you promised a foreign government who gave you the information that you would never reveal they were cooperating with the United States. What do you do? Whatever the reason you can't use your normal tools, you can't prosecute someone, I'm telling you, whoever is president, and I hope it is not President Obama, I hope we get that period of peace without this kind of challenge, but whoever is president at the time will need to deal with that question: how do I incapacitate this person when I can't use the normal tools? What will we do? Surely we can agree that we need to talk about this now and figure out what we would do. Surely in a country like ours, where the states and the federal government have devised procedures for the preventative detention of the dangerous mentally ill, with due process, supervision by the courts, appointment of counsel, surely in a country where we have developed those kinds of due process regimes to deal with dangerous people with mental illness, we can find a way to devise a system to protect our people from the terrorist, and that terrorist, even that terrorist, from the arbitrary use of power. There has to be common ground there. And surely we can also agree that when we catch a terrorist, whether it's here or someplace else in the world, we need some mechanism to find out what that person knows, short of appointing him a lawyer and beginning plea discussions. Interrogation, I think, is an issue that is very, very easy to bumper sticker, a hugely difficult issue, but one that serious people, the people who can imagine themselves with the responsibility to learn information that will spare thousands from horrific pain, those people need to think seriously and carefully about this and do it now. Maybe the only common ground there is we cannot torture people. We simply cannot. And maybe we can also agree that bumper stickers are not helping us. And in fact, what they're doing is deterring people from discussing interrogation in polite company because it's too easily caricatured. But at least that's a start. If we can agree on that and facilitate a discussion, that's a start.